Good morning. This video is a quickie about thimbles. Thought I'd do a little thimble review. First off, with sewing, I admit I almost never use thimbles. It's not very often. If you're doing basic hand sewing, I just don't feel like I need them unless a couple things are present. If I'm pushing through the needle through like a really hard fabric like denim, then I might want a thimble. The other main instance is for quilting. I don't really consider myself a big quilter. I like it. I just haven't really had a whole lot of time to tackle quilting much. I've mostly dabbled in it. But when I have dabbled, I like thimbles. And me and my mom, we both kind of like to collect thimbles a little bit. They're just kind of a fun thing. We've tried a lot of different types. She bought me one that's a really, really nice one. But I just kind of want to go over the different thimble types. So if you use a thimble or you want to use a thimble, maybe you might find some cool things in here. I didn't get every thimble I own out. I know I have several more than this here, but I got one of each major type. So you could kind of get an idea of what you like and what you don't. I'm not going to go into how to use one or anything like that. But again, two major situations where you need them. I think quilting, and then if you're trying to maybe hem a denim, you will really want your finger, well, thank you, and you won't have a big hole in your finger. So let me get to the actual filming of the next part. Okay guys, let's try this again. This is like third attempt on this video. It's one of those days, goodness. So here's my thimble collection, or at least some of them. It is not all of them. We're going to start with the traditional thimble. Again, I don't use a thimble much except for when I'm doing quilting or when I'm trying to push a needle through something heavy like denim. I do recommend, if you're a new seamstress, don't feel like you got to go out and buy a thimble, but if you're going to be hand sewing denim, get you a thimble. And hopefully this video helps you choose one. These are the ones that you probably think of as traditional thimbles. The things I do not like about these are the dents aren't deep enough. You want one with good deep dents on the top so your needle can catch into those dents, and a good lip. This one just falls off. I mean, I can kind of use it on my thumb, but I don't like using this style. I never use them. I think they're adorable, just adorable and cute and tiny and represent sewing, but I don't like these. They're not comfortable. This one is a little better. If you can find one of these that's got the little black top, the dents are deeper and it just feels a little better. It's a little shorter. I don't know if you can see that, but it's kind of a shorter one. Part of it's because it's a small. Finding the right size helps a lot. But if I'm going to use one of these styles, it's going to be this one. The dents being deeper and it just feels a little better. There's a little spot in there for your nail to kind of go into, and that kind of helps it to hold still. But I'm not likely to grab these because I have ones here I like better. This is another one I'm not the biggest fan of. These are like the jelly style. I don't remember the name brand on this. I'll have to look it all up, and I will try to leave links to both of these, and there's a type that I could not find. It's a little band that goes around your thumb, and you can wear it there too, but I will try to leave links to that. That little band one, I do like it for what it's worth. It's a little cheapo plastic thing, and it kind of has a little leather tie. It's stretchy. I cannot find it, but I will link to it. But these are ones I am just not the biggest fan of. They're cute, they're colorful, they come in all kinds of different colors and sizes, but the needle slips on the top and they don't really conform to your finger as well as what you think they would, because they're kind of hard so the needle doesn't pop through them. Though I think a needle could still drive through if you had a sharp enough and you were pushing hard enough. So it's just not my first choice. Some people really love them. These I think are a great buy. These are the leather ones, and there's a place there, if you look closely, where your fingernail could come out the top if you have a long nail. I don't really have very long nails. Mine are, yeah, I have terrible manicure. Long, thin, paper thin nails. But if your nail's a little longer, it can come out top. This conforms to your finger. It's breathable. I think that's my favorite thing about these, is it's good and breathable, and your finger doesn't sweat nearly as much as it does with another kind of thimble. It's a good buy, and the memory serves. I'll have to look up and do the links and stuff, but I don't remember these being very expensive. Most of these are under $10. Most of them will be under $5, though I do have one very expensive thimble here, and I bet you can't guess which one it is. Maybe you can. But these are kind of cheap. These are also a good option for going on your thumb if you got one big enough. I've got one big enough here somewhere, it's just not this one, but for thumb quilting, it's good to have a very comfortable one because stuff will slip off of your thumb super easy. Like there's no way I could thumb quilt with that. It just, I don't know, maybe you could get used to it, but I couldn't. These two are pretty common to find. You'll see them in Joann's or Hobby Lobby or wherever your sewing store is. Maybe you're one of the lucky people who still have a Hancock's near you. We don't. These are adjustable. One is Dritz and one is Clover. This is the Dritz and this is the Clover. I do find the Dritz, I think partly because of how it's adjusted, my finger kind of comes out the top a little easier, but it doesn't form into my finger quite as well as what this Clover does. But I think that's just the adjustment I have right now. They're pretty darn similar. I do think the shape around it is maybe slightly different. The divots on the Clover are just a little bit deeper. This one's a little bit better than this one. So for what that's worth, I do think the Clover is a little bit better made with a little bit deeper dents, and that's important. Now using this style, it's nice because you can, if you really want to, you could have one on your thumb, one on your middle finger. But obviously you'd have to have it sized there. Both of these are sized for my middle finger, but you can basically dual thimble it and use two, and I kind of like doing that. I typically use that band one for my thumb if I'm quilting, but that can be very useful, and it's a comfortable style. Sweating is minimized a little because you have the back side that's open, but you're still going to have some sweat with a thimble. It's especially the metal ones, they just really are bad about that. That's the one main advantage of your leather there. But these are good thimbles. I think they're like 10 or 11 bucks usually, and then you could always use a coupon at a lot of the stores to maybe get them half off. If you got Clover, I would recommend Clover over Dritz, but honestly they're both good. And it's nice like if you buy online because you got the adjustability. These are both marked as mediums, but adjustability saves the day there. So if you're like me, I mean, I have kind of short fat fingers, and it's just, yeah, sometimes that's harder to find something. This thimble, if you hadn't already guessed, is the crazy expensive one. This is a Roxanne Thimble. My mom got this for me. I never would have bought it myself. It is a very nice thimble. This one here is solid silver, and that's why it's a very expensive thimble. When you go to buy these, you actually have to have these sized. They will send you a little cheap thingy to determine your size first, and then once you pick your exact size that you need, then you send away for the really nice one. It's a tight fit, but you want it tight because when you start doing the quilting for very long at all, your finger will start to sweat and it kind of starts to shrink. So you want it to be a snug fit to accommodate for that shrinkage that will likely happen as you go about your quilting. So at first it's a little uncomfortable. You don't want it throbbing uncomfortable. This one just barely works. And if your weight changes much, that can be a factor. There was a time when it was just too darn snug because my weight was too high, but I can wear it, thankfully. If I lost too much weight, it might be a little too loose. This particular one I've had for quite a few years, so keep in mind, while it's solid silver, it has had some tarnishing. Some people like to let their thimbles tarnish up because of just, they think that's more quaint. Other people like to keep it polished, bright and shiny. I have let mine go ahead and tarnish. It doesn't bother me, but I like the shiny look too. I'm kind of fine either way. It's got very deep dents, probably about the deepest that you will see and find. I don't know of much deeper there. Mom has some others, I can't think of the other name, that are pretty nice too. Completely different in design, but they're very nice. There are other thimbles in the high price range, but this is the one I have. My particular one, I think it's like a size 4. It's like R4 is what it says. But it's cute, it's pretty, it's very heavy. I don't know if you can tell, but like by the sound, you hear that, how light that is. You hear that thunk. Much heavier thimble. The weight, I think, is actually a good thing. It makes it more comfortable. I think, I don't know, it just fits and conforms to your finger better. It's just on the tip. You're not down around the knuckle, preventing it from your finger from moving as much. I don't know. Would I, if I were going to invest my money in thimbles, would I buy this? That is a big question. Do I think it's worth spending that much money? I will tell you there's cheaper versions than the solid silver too. They have some cheaper metals, depending on whether or not you're allergic to them and so forth. Would I spend a ton of money on this design? I think that depends on how much I quilted. If I was someone who quilted all the time, like really hours and hours every week, then yes, I would. Because it is a much nicer thimble. The weight's good, the divots are good, it fits your finger, it's very custom and will last you a lifetime. But the amount that I quilt, no, I would not put nearly that much money into it. I'm blessed that my mama bought it for me. She's always buying me sweet little sewing notions, and I just, I really appreciate that. I get to try things that I would never otherwise have tried with my cheapskate self. I would have never bought this, but it's really cool that I was blessed enough to be able to try it. I do like it. I do use it. It is my #1 thimble pick, yes. But would I invest that much? Probably not, because honestly, these little guys here are perfectly functional and they're perfectly comfortable. Well, this is perfectly functional and perfectly comfortable. Much, much cheaper options that are very functional and very comfy. I would say for comfort, I would give this the win for not making your fingers sweat, and you're less worried about the tightness or looseness of it. It might win out on practicality. Like if I had to grade these on the top practicality pick, it would probably be these. But of course, some people don't like the risk of the needle popping through. But for a heavy duty, serious quilter, that Roxanne Thimble would probably be that winner, just because those little divots are so deep. It feels nice on your finger. The weight is not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. It just, I don't know. It feels natural on your hand when you get a good fit. Now, if you have a bad fit, that's not a good thing. It's critical that you do that, and they have great customer service, and they will help you do that. They have good other notions like needles and stuff too. Mom handed me a tube of their needles, and I like those really well for the quilting between needles. But all in all, if you're a serious quilter, sure, invest in this. And whether or not you invest in silver versus the cheaper metals, I can't really speak to that because I only have this very, very nice one here. So I am glad to own it. I'm sure I will own it the rest of my life. I wouldn't let go of it. It is a little mini treasure to me, and I think it's just beautiful. But do I think it's necessary? Absolutely not. I think these are perfectly fine and functional too. I am not in love with that style and design. And grant you, all of this is my opinion and personal preference, and you might find your opinions and personal preferences are different, and your hand and finger shape might really affect what you like or what you hate. I will tell you another quilting accessory I think is critical and I love are these. These aren't thimbles, but these are little pieces of rubber, and you could kind of make them, but that you grip your needle with them and pull. And there's a lot of times when you're quilting that you can't quite get the needle out of there, and it's really hard because quilting needles are especially tiny, and having that to grip, these are really, really worth it. Buy these. I like these. So I just, as I was getting my thimble collection out, I thought I would show you those too. But here's a little bit about thimbles today. I hope you find that useful. And remember, it's just my opinions, and I will link to below. I've got to still look all this stuff up, so hopefully I can find them. I will link to everything I can find. Realize that thimble shopping is probably better done in person if you can. Now these people, like, they're out in California, so you have to do a lot through the mail unless you live there. At least I think that's where they were. But anyway, do what you can. If you can, go try some things on or what have you. Cheap ones, you can maybe just buy one of every size and then go with it, so baby could shop online easy. But I'm going to link to them for what it's worth, or at least the ones I can find. And I hope this video has been informative. Have a really blessed and awesome day.